Good morning, everybody.
Morning, John. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing good, doing good. Just got those articles published up there for us, so we'll have that.
Yep, I think we can get started. This is just really a open forum. We made a lot of announcements this weekend, a lot of big announcements with the social consensus platform. The most important piece of that, the voting platform being live. That's something that we wanted to give the community the ability to come in and ask questions about, as well as we alluded to some real big legal news coming down the pipeline. Want to give everybody the ability to ask questions about that and answer how we can. And then, of course, just open it up to questions in general to the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if I can yeah, okay. There we go. People coming in will be able to talk.
And then we can probably just go allow to speak on everybody else. I'm just going to go through and start clicking allow to speak on everybody who came in before that got blocked. So again, really more of an open chat this time. Ask any questions you guys want. The goal of this, again, is to get people the information they need about our voting protocol that just got released, and then, of course, our lending. That's really, we're trying to bring that up as soon as possible. But the DAO portion is, and the legal opinion are two critical components to making that happen.
Question on the voting, John. That was a really slick system. Question is, if your tokens are staked, how will it show up as far as your priority or your amount of holdings within the DAO to weight the amount of tokens you hold?
Yeah, we're looking at so this is phase one of the DAO. The initial phases won't have all the implementations in them, of course, and so for this specific one, I think there will be an ability for us to have some semblance of people being able to vote while staked, but I don't want to say that that's fully implemented yet with this solution. That'll be something that comes once we have staking in place. But yeah, you will have the ability to continue to vote on protocols even if you're staked.
Got it. Good stuff. Thank you.
And
yeah, absolutely.
Would the staking be done on the platform, on the BSocial app itself, or have we not decided on which route to go with that just yet?
Yeah, we have decided on that. I mean, these are questions that we're going to also propose as proposals to the community so that we can get consensus on it. But right now, my suggestion is that it does happen. It all happens within one app. All the staking, unlocking, disbursements, everything happens within one app, and that way it's very easy to manage as opposed to having it happen all over the place.
I agree. Thank you.
Yep. So it looks like there was a pretty good vote this time. 80 some people voted.
That's pretty good, actually. For you to think of how many people are actually, participating, active participants in what we have going on.
Yeah, and just a couple things is that you can connect if you have tokens in another wallet. You can connect that wallet. If you want to change your vote, you can change your vote. So those two things I want to make sure everybody understands, as well as one critical component that a lot of people don't understand about this DAO is that if you look at the actual vote itself, and I could share my screen here real quick so you guys can see this. Some of you may be able to see this, but right here, there's something called snapshot. Okay. There's something here called snapshot. And so what snapshot is that's the block, the last mined block of the time in which we made this proposal live. So what does that signify? That signifies who and what. So if we click on this, you'll actually see that this is block 1,294,000, whatever that number is, okay? And that block, the way Ethereum works is that block has, a certain amount of transactions in it. You can actually, let me see how many transactions are in here. Okay, so 164 transactions, 44 contract internal transactions. And what this is a period in time that we can say anybody who owned tokens at block 12,943,488 and before gets to vote on this proposal. And what that does is it gives people, it stops people from trying to buy more tokens or get in on something when there's a big move happening in the ecosystem. It doesn't let new holders participate in things that were put together before they came in. So it's just kind of a control mechanism. It's a control mechanism to make sure that, and we can at the time of the proposal, we can actually change this. We can even go back and say only day one. We won't do this, but just as a, just to give you the conceptually how this works, we could change this snapshot number to be a much earlier block time around our launch date. And for example, say this vote is only available to first day token holders. Again, we wouldn't do that, but that's how snapshot, that's how the block, the block timestamp, the block number works. Okay. So in case anybody comes in here, tries to vote, and then they say, okay, the start date was August 1st, 12 p.m. I bought, right before that. Well, you may not have, because this block snapshot, which is actually signified right here, is the actual block timestamp of when you could start voting, or who is eligible rather to vote. So in case you're ever wondering, you can come here, you can click on this number, and that'll take you to the actual block with the actual timestamp UTC that lets you know if you're in the pool of transactions that could vote, or if you weren't in time to vote on that particular proposal. Okay. And so the way the proposals will work is the proposals will show up here. They'll be called BIPs, BIPs. We just released a video, an educational series video, another one that goes through what a DAO is, how a DAO can be utilized, as well as we have a blog post that we just released as well that describes a DAO and a little bit about how the BSocial ecosystem will utilize the DAO. We've got a couple PR releases going out as well, but they'll essentially show up here. They'll be called blockchain or BSocial improvement protocols. The community will have another mechanism for the community to bring up proposals and then vet through proposals before they actually make it to the voting system where people can get in and say yes or no. And that will keep us from having a bunch of just a number of proposals that may or may not pass because we don't have enough feedback or insight, or just people don't agree with it. So that's going to be launched here very shortly as well. We're in the final stages of putting that together, but there will be a whole governance platform with this vote being the final piece of it. We can still utilize this vote in the meantime for the next couple of days for any proposals. I think we're going to be having our first actual proposal coming up here in the next 48 hours that the community can vote on. But then once we get through those first few proposals, there's going to be a whole ecosystem launched around the governance side where people can put up their own proposals, and then the community can talk about them, debate them, and give them time to really form into a solid proposal that can then be taken to the community at large to get a locked-in vote on. Any questions on that? Okay, great. So one other thing I want to talk about a little bit more is the legal opinion status. So we're very lucky in the realm of what we've been doing to be able to secure a legal opinion that paints our token in a fashion that allows us to go do many, many, many more things. One of the most important of which being lending. But aside from that, being able to list on places. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be listing on Coinbase just yet, so don't take this to be more than anything more than face value of what I'm saying. But having the legal opinion gives us the ability to now list on tier 1 exchanges that don't want to list securities on their platform. And so that's why we've been working very diligently to get the social consensus DAO piece, the legal opinion piece. I mean, I can't tell you how many, not just how many attorneys, but how many we've deemed to be, not competent in blockchain. A lot of them say they are, but they're really not. And we didn't just want somebody to say yes. We wanted somebody to, and I think the community would agree with this sentiment, but we didn't want just somebody to say yes, because of the probably 25 attorneys that we've interviewed over the last month and a half of them have proved incompetence by just saying, well, no, every crypto is a security. Well, no, it's not. Not every crypto is a security. So you're out of the running just because you said that. Then of the other 50% that were left, 30-40% have, they are willing to give an opinion, but they can't really do much more than that. If we had to go, fight a battle or, have more information given to us or have more insight into how the token works, they just weren't capable of doing that. And so that eliminated another 20-30% of the remaining 50%. And then of the remaining 50%, 20%, so let's say of the top 20% of attorneys that we looked at, half of those said that, so roughly 10% of the 20-30 that we interviewed said, okay, looking at this the way you are now, you need to do X, Y, Z to be taken out of the consideration for security. And the other half said, we just, we don't want to get into this because of, for whatever reason, either conflict of interest because they have other clients who are, same people who are doing things like Compound and Yearn and other things like that. So, so we ended up focusing in on 3 attorneys. Of those 3, there was one specifically that really understood not just the ecosystem of blockchain, but the technology of blockchain. And I feel like as somebody who understands blockchain from a very technical perspective, I would prefer to have an attorney working with us that was of similar competence, and that I could have in-depth discussions with about the actual workings of the technology so that he can make an extremely poignant opinion that detailed exactly what we were doing with the understanding of how the technology works. Is super critical component. So we've finally been able to lock that person down. We've got a legal opinion. He's already been working on it for about a week. He's already given us the first draft of it. Looks great. We've already rewritten our white paper. We're coming out with a new white paper. There aren't significant changes to anything. It's more, it's more just how things have to work versus how the, what the overall end goal is, which is to get loans out the door and to get, the interest back in and to distribute that to stakers. So, the overall goal remains the same. It's just the means, the technicalities to get there are being shifted and moved around. And part of that is what you're seeing, the DAO, the legal opinion coming out. So we're very, very close on that. That's very exciting for us. I think when I say us, I mean the community. And that's going to really open up a lot of avenues. And the reason why we've been holding off, it's kind of hard to tell people until we've locked down who the attorney is. He's reviewed everything. He feels good about what he's doing. He's given us a first legal opinion. It's hard to go out and tell the community, hey guys, this is coming, because again, to get to where we are now took literally a month and a half of talking with attorneys, negotiating, talking through our ecosystem. We met with so many, and so we don't want to make those type of announcements, and that's another reason why we've held off on doing any big marketing pushes, is because these are such powerful messages to get out in front of promotion, people who can promote and influence. These are the types of messages that we want people pushing out there for us. And so we feel that now, with where everything is and with these new implementations that are finalizing very, very soon, we are in the position to really ramp back into a significant marketing push. And I think for us, the timeline, it couldn't be any more well aligned with what's about to happen with Ethereum and the improvement protocol that's being pushed out on Ethereum, with gas miner fees and a couple other improvement protocols that are going out at the same time in that fork. So it really actually ended up being a very, very well timed, point for us to get together and make this happen. So again, very excited about these next few days and weeks. And what that allows us to do from a opening up the floodgates, in many areas. There are some other big news that I can't release right now, but it's very, very big, very, very big news. I think legal opinion and DAO are probably two of the biggest pieces of news that we've had, that we were gonna have, period. A lot of tokens, I know it takes them 6 to 8 months to get any type of legal framework in place that allows them to move forward. And again, just as we've been doing since inception of this, we're moving at a speed that nobody else has been able to move, I think, in at least recently in crypto, and maybe ever in crypto. So very exciting moves. And again, the purpose of this AMA was not to just expound on those, but really open it up to the community for any questions that you guys may have. So I'll turn it back over to you guys again, just so we can start, getting you guys familiar with it. Because again, if you're familiar with it, you're able to go out, tell the community, help us in the chat room with letting people know what's going on. So we'll open it back up to you guys.
Yep, everybody's unmuted, so you can just go ahead and unmute yourself and talk. So if you have a question, feel free to ask.
Hey, gentlemen, it's Ranjit from Toronto. Awesome summary of the legal requirements that you've discussed about the lawyers and everything. You hinted on distributing interest. My question is, over the next 2 years, 5 years, have we got a timeline, sorry, not a timeline, a volume number in terms of what sort of money will be lending out and interest earned 12 months, 24 months, 60 months? Do we have anything like that in place yet, or any numbers to speak of? Thank you.
Well, I think that there could be some numbers that we put out here once we get, again, part of putting numbers out there is a legal issue. And so, for us to start giving out numbers before the legal framework is in place to do such, it's probably not, recommended, and probably something we should stay away from. What I can tell you also is that we've rehashed some of the types of loans that we're going to be going after. The main goal is to lend and to have repayment as fast as possible, least amount of default rates, least risk, fastest payment, highest return period of time. And so there are different products that align better with those results, with having a much smaller liquidity pool to lend from, versus there are other items that maybe they might have more income over the longer term, but we need more liquidity in the liquidity pool. So we're adjusting those product types. But off of there's definitely an ability for, even with the liquidity that we have right now, which I think is just right close to 2 million, that liquidity being able to be utilized to generate somewhere in the net effect of several $100,000 over the course of a 12-month period, or even less, again depending on the types of products that we get with. So I don't want to go too much more into that, again, because some of this is unique to what BSocial is doing, and we prefer to just announce it and release it, as opposed to give you guys a long heads up, because we've seen other communities try to steal concepts and ideas that we've introduced here first, and I'm not interested in doing that anymore. I work way too hard, and I put way too much thought into what the future of this can hold for you guys, and I'm not gonna we're not just gonna do that. I think a lot of you who were here in the beginning, that there were so many scammers in here asking questions about, well, if you're not going to tell us, then this is a scam. It's like, no. And we made mistakes of telling some things, and again, I think that some of those things turned into other projects that have brought stuff to market or attempted to. So we're just gonna keep on rolling through the product and releasing it and making people happy along the way, and then as we make a major improvement to the ecosystem development wise, whether that's resetting interest rates, resetting types of products, engaging with big partners, lending partners. Those are the types of things that the community will vote on in the BIPs, the BSocial improvement protocols, and those are the kinds of things that we'll get back to the dev and operations team to implement on behalf of the community.
Yeah, thanks, Perez. Enjoying the ride all the way, man.
Thanks so much.
Hey, John, there was one posted in the chat from the wave setters, but it's in the main now. Arnaud forwarded it.
Okay. I think that 60-40, 70-30 seems like a good spread. So there's two potential ways to do this. There's just we have to have a minimum, and then the majority of that minimum wins. So let's say we did a 60-30. It wouldn't technically be 60% have to vote yes. It would be 60% of the community has to vote, and then if 50% of the 60% say yes. I mean, we can define both thresholds, but there really needs to be two thresholds in there. The first is we need a minimum number of responders, or a minimum number of token voices in the response, and then we need a minimum threshold to approve out of that minimum responses. So I think it's twofold. I don't think it's one, but this can be one of the proposals that we mull over with the community, and then we make a final proposal on here over the next several weeks as we refine and improve the proposal protocols for moving forward. But I think that from my perspective, it really works best as, to say that we need 100% vote and you have to have 60% of all outstanding tokens vote yes to approve something. That becomes a very hard thing to get all the time. But to also say on the other side of that, to say, well, it just needs to be any number of holders, and as long as 70% of them vote yes, and you can get a very skewed perspective where just 20% of the people come in, they all vote yes, and then it passes. So I think again, it's two thresholds. The first threshold is we need a minimum number of tokens, and then the second threshold is if 60% of the token holders have voted, then this is a valid proposal. And then of the 60% of people that have voted out of the whole pool of token holders, then we need a minimum 50% to say yes, and then at that, I think we can again vote on that, but that would be my, I don't think it's binary. Yeah, I think binary is a dangerous, it's a yes or no. It's binary is very, it's, I wouldn't call it dangerous. I don't know that it's necessarily dangerous, but it does allow, a binary vote does allow for some, potential manipulation. We don't have a lot of, I think even if the whale setters group got together, I don't think that there's a potential for a 50% consensus. So again, if we do it to where there's 2 thresholds, I think we have a lot more success at reducing the threshold for getting a consensus, which needs to be a certain percentage of all token holders that commit to making a vote. And then, the second threshold, which is how many of those people need to vote yes for the proposal to pass or no to fail. Yeah, thanks, Swami. That was a great question, actually.
Hi, John. I have a question. I've been with BSocial since the beginning, and I've kind of seen the ebbs and flows with different community members, either having ill intent or being a bad actor towards BSocial. How do we, as a community and organization, as we gain traction in the environment, kind of eliminate that? Because when people see something really special like BSocial, there's going to be jealousy and other weird emotions that are going to affect. How do we keep that away from us?
I don't want to say that there's a magic bullet for that. I think that in the community itself, by that I mean in the Telegram channel, it's just getting rid of those types of people. Initially, we tried to talk to them and persuade, but we know now that if somebody's in on board with us, they're on board. If they're not, they're not. So we've told the mods that there's no more being respectful, because if they're already in here without knowing anything, making those types of statements, then they're just doing it for the purpose of trying to sow discord. So we're done with that. But as far as outside the community, it's very hard to control. Now that we have an attorney, we may be able to, get a little bit more serious on sending letters to people, to third parties.
Yeah.
To get them to remove data on websites. But, aside from that, I think that most of our time and effort needs to be spent on releasing new product. And controlling what we can control, because we can't control 100% of it. I mean, Reddit is not going to take down every post that's bad against BSocial. And for us to try, that would be a big waste of time, would be my thought. But, those are the things that I think very quickly, like with the snap of a finger, we can make a determination as a community to say, okay, no more. And I think you've seen some of that with the chat room is a lot more positive now.
Yeah.
And that's because a lot of those people, and I think that quite frankly, a lot of those people were holdovers from the initial group of bad actors that were planning to stay around to see how long they could keep it down, quite frankly, because we saw a lot of those people that were making those bad comments back in other tokens laughing about stuff. And so, again, I don't think that we can control everything outside of us, but one of the reasons we have retained this attorney is that part of what we'll have him go after is any blatant defamation, zero basis defamation that potentially comes up, because Medium will pull an article. If you go to Medium and you say, hey, look, this is completely baseless, here's a letter from our attorney, you need to fucking pull it down, they will pull it down. So there are places where it makes sense, and maybe that's something that we can put into the BIP proposal system is that, every few weeks we can identify potentially harmful, blatant defamation and have our attorney draft 5 or 6 letters to those places and get it, get them, at least make an attempt to get them taken down. I think that one of the big places right now that I've seen is YouTube. There are probably 3 or 4 videos that we're trying to get bumped down from the top, and I don't think they're at the top anymore, but they're still on the first page, that just are calling us a scam, and they're
Yes, I've
blatant.
seen that.
Yeah, and they're really baseless, and they're really blatant. The thing we can't get away from is, like, people saying, hey, what happened with the FaZe Banks deal, and making speculation, because they're not really making a determination. They're more so asking questions. So again, for us to waste time on that, it really becomes a losing battle, because it's yeah.
Well, thank you for answering my question, John.
Absolutely. What else we got out there, guys?
Rookie question here. Can you have 2 different seed phrases? So like I have a different seed phrase for my Coinbase wallet, different seed phrase for my Trust wallet. Can I combine those 2 seed phrases into my Trust wallet so I can see my ERC and my BSC tokens within Trust wallet?
Okay, so I'm not going to answer that from an ERC BSC standpoint, because it doesn't really have anything to do with that per se. But
Sure.
let's say you create a wallet on Coinbase, and you have created a wallet in Trust Wallet, but now you want to see the Coinbase wallet on Trust Wallet. You can take your seed phrase and import a new wallet on Trust Wallet. Like, Trust Wallet will allow you to have 10, 15, 20, 30 wallets. If you click on settings,
okay.
Yeah, if you click on settings, down in the right corner, you'll see wallets as the top thing, and you can click on add, and then there's a button that says I already have a wallet, and then you would just import that wallet from your seed phrase, and it would show up as a wallet that would also be visible in Coinbase if you decided to import that wallet.
Cool. Thanks, sir.
Yep.
Which John, you'll be having that come out in the wallet education piece soon, right?
We have a wallet education video that we've shot that will be coming out, I think, in the next day or 2, that touches on some of these points. Also touches on how your wallet address it's really only reflected on the blockchain. So Trust Wallet and Coinbase Wallet do not have ownership or are not keeping track of anything for you. They're just visibility. They're just a wrapper around your wallet on the blockchain. So wallet, 0x1 XYZ, that wallet exists only on the blockchain. And this, I'm specifically talking about ERC or Ethereum BSC. There are some other off-chain protocols that we won't go into because they act a little bit different. But for on-chain transactional blockchains, your wallet address is all the information is stored on the blockchain. And the reason why you can access the same wallet address from Trust and from Coinbase is that exact reason. It's all stored on the blockchain. Coinbase is just a viewer into that wallet. Trust is just a viewer into that wallet. And either one can act on behalf of a wallet address, provided it has the right passphrase. That's why they say, like, one of the biggest things in crypto is never give away your keys. Well, if Coinbase owned your wallet, your keys wouldn't matter, because that wallet would be owned by Coinbase. You could shut it down, turn it on, turn it off through Coinbase, but that's not the case. If you give away your passphrase, somebody could open up in MetaMask, somebody open it up in Trust Wallet, somebody can open it up in Alpha Wallet, Rainbow Wallet, Gnosis, whatever the other wallets are out there. They can open up with your seed phrase your wallet and completely drain it from another wallet viewer without you ever even knowing, until it's too late and all of it's gone. So that's why that seed phrase password is so critical for you to keep safe because it's the keys to your wallet address on the blockchain, which allows for the ultimate access to your wallet. And that's why even Coinbase and these wallet applications say, hey, back up your seed phrase, because if you lose it, we don't own the blockchain. We don't own the key phrase here. You own that. That's generated off the blockchain based on the address that you've just gotten. And there's nothing we can do about it if it's gone.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah. Thanks, John, for working really hard. I have been in this project many weeks now, been listening you. So thank you for the hard work. I really appreciate it. One
Thank
question
you.
is, are you going to value one token in the BS, this finance network, and are you going to value the same with the Ethereum network, because the values are different, the price are different?
Yeah,
but
I think the question there becomes, yeah, that's a good question. The question there becomes, you can take that question even further. How? You could say, well, somebody who bought on day one of Ethereum got more tokens than somebody that bought on day 15 of Binance. And so really, it's not just what the price is right now. It's really what the person bought at and how much the market cap was when they bought it. So that's a hard question to answer. I think that's something that we may throw up to an improvement protocol, and then let the community weigh in on how they want to do that, as opposed to having us. We can certainly weigh in on it, but I've had this question come up a lot. And I think everybody needs to have a good discussion around it, where they read all the comments in one place that are specific to that one proposal, as opposed to seeing a random comment here and there in chat. And then consensus, we can get a good idea of what the community feels is the best for it and make that change appropriately.
yeah, because the bridge doesn't exist, and I think won't exist. The price difference will be maybe a lot. It depends on the situation. So depends how you will use these tokens,
Well,
like
no,
in
it
landings
depends
or
on much
something.
more than that. No, it depends on much more than that, because essentially, because the underlying token is pegged to Binance, BSC, BNB, and Ethereum, that value really is pegged to the underlying token. And so let's just say BSC, I'm speaking theoretically, I don't think it's going to happen, but there could happen. The price of BSC could get blocked out in a lot of countries. And again, this is theoretically. I'm not saying that it's going to happen or could happen, but let's just talk theory. If they got locked out in a few countries and a few more countries, and the price didn't move correlating to Ethereum on a similar track, then you could have a much wider divergence in price. Similarly, if let's just say in 6 months, Ethereum doesn't get a good groundwork for ETH2, and something like Cardano takes a good space over, I think BSC has a good wave to ride, just because the fees are so low, until Cardano or Matic makes a big move to replace Ethereum. So there's so many unknowns that I don't know that there's a good answer that we lock ourselves into right now. I think that's why we introduced the improvement protocol, because it's something that lets the community identify potential changes that are necessary in the ecosystem, make those recommendations, state the reasons why, and then we implement them, right? And again, we're part of the community, so we will be active in making recommendations. We're not just going to go away and leave it up to the community, but there are definitely times where the community has brought things up. And I'll just, bring up one point that I know has come up a few times: the whole USDC versus USDT. That's definitely something that I think is a good question for the community, because at the end of the day, which token we use doesn't make a difference to how the
the organization functions, but it may make a difference into community sentiment. And I can tell you that sentiment is almost as important as, you know, what people think is going to happen is almost important as what actually happens, because what actually happens is sometimes self-fulfilling, where if we don't think it's going to happen, it won't happen. So, you know, that's the really good thing about having a DAO and having social consensus, is that it allows the community to build its own momentum based off of its own sentiment of what it feels is best for the community. And if voices are being heard, then, you know, the likelihood of engaging goes up significantly.
Hi, sir. Is there a policy of coin burning?
That's something else we can leave up to the community. I'm personally not a fan of coin burning. I don't think it does anything. It just manipulates the price, doesn't add more liquidity, it doesn't really do anything. If you don't have more eyeballs and you don't have more token holders adding liquidity to the pool, you can burn every single token that's ever available, and the last person is left holding the same amount of liquidity as when there were all the tokens available. So for me, token burns are a psychological marketing tool, not very valuable. But again, I'm a voice in the community, and if the community has people in the community have perspective that I haven't seen and want to bring that up, then I think there's a forum for discussion on that. Any more questions?
I don't see any more questions in chat. Does anybody have any questions here on voice? Guess not.
Okay, great. So we've got a lot of announcements coming up. A lot of data is going to be going out. We want you guys to please be active and, you know, I know most of you are on Twitter, socials. Again, we're going to be making a big push marketing wise once we get the legal opinion. And the DAO fully functionalized. The DAO will probably have fully functionalized here in the next day or so, and then hopefully legal opinion. We'll probably have the opinion done within the next several days, but we're gonna, work on a white paper, get that refined, make a couple more moves before we hit the big marketing push. But it's definitely, we definitely have PR, press releases, articles, all that stuff being developed and lined up to push out much sooner than the promo, the influence promo push that we'll have going. But we want all that in place before we do it, just to give people to see that there's something real happening here. All right, everybody, if there's no further questions, we'll hang on for another 5 minutes till the top of the hour, and then we'll wrap it up.
just to fill some time, would you mind explaining the London fork happening tomorrow? Kind of what that does?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. So the London fork is essentially an attempt. I think nobody really is fully aware of how it will be received, but it's an attempt to reduce and return some of the gas fees that are taken during time of an execution of a transaction. Again, I'm not sure what the overall effect will be because technically miners should be getting less gas fees. So it really only benefits the big pools, because what I think we're going to see is smaller miners that can't make as much get out of the ecosystem, which is going to mean, the only way for you to make as much is going to be to do more transactions. So that only benefits people with big rigs. And so I think we'll see a lot of smaller miners get out of it, which may be a good thing, because sometimes these bigger mining pools can allocate resources to transactions better and can execute transactions better. I don't know if you guys are familiar with private mining pools. It's something that me and Arnav are going to be going over. But essentially, I think we get to a point to where you're working more like private mining pools, not technically speaking from the actual execution of how you go through and you send your transaction directly to a private mining pool, but from the perspective of we reduce the amount of mining pools to the point to where I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening because of it. I'm for it because it should, just out of the gate, even if miners aren't making much less, because we could also see an uptick in the amount of transactions happening on the blockchain, which could also bring on more miners. I think there's a lot of different ways it can go, but I'm excited because of the reduction, not just with the burning of tokens during the transaction they used to give all of the, every time you'd mine, you'd get some tokens, and those tokens would be given to the miners for completing that block transaction hash. Now a portion of those are going to get burned, which means there's no sorry, I've got a bunch of chats coming in. So what used to go to miners as rewards, a portion of that is now going to be burned. In addition, there were certain transactions within when you execute a smart contract, the way gas is calculated, first as a developer and then in the blockchain, is certain transaction types or call types, method types have a certain amount of gas associated with them. For example, storing information on the blockchain costs X squee. Retrieving information from a stored data set is much less than writing to a stored data set. A single, for example, a single variable that's an 8-byte integer is much cheaper than an integer, a 256-byte integer, or even an array of integers or addresses or whatever that is. So it all comes back to the sentiment of the community. And I think right now I see positive sentiment. I haven't seen much out of the miners because I think the miners don't really know how it's going to affect them. I think that the way miners are going to get affected are the smaller guys aren't going to be able to push through as many transactions. because when gas goes down, you're going to get more transactions. I think that we can probably make a fairly safe guesstimation that that's going to happen. And when transactions go up, and gas fees go down, the only way to make money is to do more transactions. And little guys, again, without significantly beefing up their operations, aren't going to be able to do it, because the one thing it's not doing, the one thing that this improvement is not doing, is speeding up transactions. There is no major improvement. There are a few other improvements to the protocol that they're rolling out at the same time as 1559, but I think there's 3 other improvement protocols that are going out at the same time. But none of them are aimed at significantly speeding up the rate of transactions. And that really only happens with proof of stake. There may be another way to do it before they get to proof of stake, but the real big speed up happens with proof of stake. So I don't see, little miners staying in the game. So I think that's why we haven't seen a lot of comments out of miners. And I think you've also seen a transition to a lot of miners, Ethereum miners. I know a guy yesterday came up to me and asked me my thoughts on this, and I couldn't give him really any thoughts, but he asked me what my thoughts were on transitioning his Ethereum rig to a helium mining rig. And, I don't know anything about helium, so I wasn't able to give him any type of, but I think that, again, he's a small miner, and so we'll see what that does to the whole protocol. I think it'll have a net positive effect. There might be some people who are angry. I think it's going to be the smaller miners who are angry. Certainly people paying less gas fees on transactions, they're not going to be angry. The only place where we could see a problem is in the slowdown of the network, because so many more transactions come through and so many small miners get out of it because they're not making money anymore, that we see a slowdown in the pool for a while. But we'll see what that does. It definitely may mean that a couple of these, again, mining companies get a much bigger share and ramp up their mining pools. But again, that kind of has is it worth it for them to do it too? Because we're going to proof of stake, and then all these mining rigs, essentially, the ramp up that you have of mining rigs, you have to find another use for them once we go to proof of stake. So it's an interesting proposal. I think there are people on both sides of that, kind of, echoing the sentiment that I'm saying here. So yeah, I mean, that's just what it is.
I appreciate it greatly.
Yep.
All right, John. Yep, can't hear you if you're talking.
I'm not talking.
Oh.
Sorry, it broke up. I said we got you at the top of the hour, so we're good.
Yep. All right, John. Do you want to keep it open, or are we good?
We can keep it open.
Hello, John.
Hello.
Hello, I'm gonna try my best English. I really love this project, yes, and I have the coin on both sides. I did understand about the price. One side is a bit higher, the other one's a little less because it's new as well. I'm from Brazil, yes, and for me it's better buy on BSC side because the tax it's lower, and at the moment for me the price for BSC side as well is cheaper, so I can buy all the time. And if not go up, that's fine at the moment. And my question now is for later, is gonna be more marketing It's gonna go to CMC, the BSC side.
I'm sorry. I didn't catch all of that.
Okay, that's fine. I'm asking for BSC side, yes, because they don't have a marketing. I think the most of people did buy this new site. It's our community, and I don't see new buyers, new holders this site. Yes, for now it's good because the price don't go higher, but for later it's gonna have marketing. It's gonna have like published for this site.
Yeah, so definitely going to be having a lot of marketing coming up. We talked about that earlier. We just don't want to market unpurposefully. We need to market with purpose. And right now, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, guys, I'm going to jump off and get back to it. We can talk soon.
Hello guys, can you hear me?